Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're looking at a wildly alluring but honestly kind of dangerous concept for one of our favorite sitcoms, an alternate timeline where the beloved characters never actually move on. What's the real cost of staying put? So what if nothing ever changed? I want you to literally imagine a timeline where there are no marriages at all, no babies, nobody packing up and moving out to the suburbs. What if all six of them stayed roommates forever? Okay, let's dive into this. On the surface, this roommate utopia sounds absolutely perfect, right? You've got endless coffee at Central Perk, hilarious Thanksgiving disasters every single year, and the best part, no tearful goodbyes. But underneath all that comfort, there's a hidden danger. The reality of never moving on actually leads to stagnant careers, permanent annoying habits, and completely delayed commitment. Section 1. The comfort zone. Why we want them to stay. So why do we so desperately want them to stay exactly where they are? Well, because it feels incredibly safe, doesn't it? Having 2 apartments, 1 coffee shop, and 6 people always available is like a built-in shield against bad dates, career failures, the whole shebang. That first year of this alternate timeline, it would be a fantasy come to life. Monica still cooks those huge, amazing meals, Joey's constantly raiding everyone's fridge, Chandler's right there firing off sarcastic comments, and Ross just drops by every single day. Movie nights, random kitchen dances, everything feels so familiar, alive, and just deeply comforting. Moving on to Section 2, the turning point, when habits become permanent. See, the reality of adulthood doesn't hit pause just because your roommate situation stays fun. Just imagine it, 10 years in the exact same apartment. Suddenly, those quirky little habits become absolutely exhausting problems. Joey leaving dirty dishes literally everywhere. Rachel constantly misplacing her shopping bags. Ross endlessly, and I mean endlessly correcting everyone's grammar. Phoebe rearranging the furniture based on energy. And Chandler completely avoiding any sort of confrontation. Funny for a 22-minute episode? For sure. But downright claustrophobic after a decade. And hey, it's not just their living habits either. Careers demand change. Rachel's fashion career is eventually going to demand travel and independence. Chandler's work duties grow significantly. Monica's culinary ambitions rise. And Ross's academic and museum commitments completely expand. As their careers really start to take off, making major life decisions solely around maintaining a roommate system quickly goes from being supportive to incredibly limiting. Section 3. Stunted growth, the regression of the characters. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how freezing their living situation actively harms their personal development. Let's look at how this breaks down. Staying physically close like that actually stymies their emotional health. In the real show, Rachel evolves into an independent career woman. But in our alternate timeline, she remains emotionally unfinished. Chandler, who eventually became capable of commitment, would be stuck in delayed commitment. And Joey, who was always searching for more, gets completely trapped in an endless adolescence. It turns their dynamic into a set of rigid routines rather than active, conscious life choices. Take Chandler and Monica as a prime example. Their relationship worked precisely because they moved forward together. Taking on marriage and shared responsibility, that changed them into intentional partners. If they had just remained permanent roommates, they might have delayed that commitment indefinitely. Actually, scratch that. They probably never would have fully become true partners at all. And then, there's Rachel and Ross. Their final ending really only works because Rachel evolves. She finally becomes someone who makes the active choice for love, not just someone who stays put because she needs a convenient support system. In an alternate timeline where they never leave the apartments, those decisions never really become clear, and she remains totally dependent on the group. But the most heartbreaking example of all this might actually be Joey. He absolutely loves familiarity, but there's a real hidden struggle here. Comfort sometimes completely prevents growth. This alternate timeline accidentally traps him in endless adolescence. It stops him from growing up and turns what looks like a super happy scenario into a surprisingly sad one. Section 4. The real-world connection, the cost of comfort. This isn't just about some fictional sitcom, is it? It's a highly relatable human tendency. We all try to preserve our perfect moments, like college apartments or school friendships, thinking it keeps things good forever. But as the saying goes, relationships survive not by resisting change, but by moving through it. People grow, needs change, our dreams evolve. To truly preserve a relationship, you've got to be willing to walk through those changes together, rather than trying to freeze time in place. Section 5. Why the finale worked. Empty apartments, lasting connections. Those painful moments of change, packing up the cardboard boxes, saying the tearful goodbyes, that's exactly what made the actual ending so incredibly poignant and successful. The keys are left behind on the counter, sure, but the connection remains stronger than ever. Leaving those apartments was literally the only way to save their friendships. If they had stayed roommates forever, they might have lost the very thing they were trying so hard to protect. So, the crucial takeaway here is this definition of true friendship. It's about choosing each other through every version of life rather than just sharing physical space. It's way harder to maintain a friendship when you aren't living right down the hall from each other, you know? But it's an active choice through life's continuous changes. And honestly, that makes it so much stronger. So let's wrap up with a question for you to ponder. Which moment in the show would you absolutely change, and which one absolutely had to happen? Let me know your thoughts. If this explainer made you look at things in a completely different way, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for exploring this with me today, and I'll catch you next time.